Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another episode of Know Your Tanks here in World of Tanks. This is the series where we take a look at the features and characteristics of a tank that will help you identify which gun that tank is equipped with when you happen to run into it on the battlefield on the enemy team. And today we're going to take a look at the Tier 9 American Heavy Tank, the M103. This is the last tank in the line for the T110E5. Of course, the T110E5 itself only gets one gun at Tier 10, so we won't be covering that tank. So this is going to finish up our little mini-series covering the T29, the T32, and now the M103. And the M103 is pretty straightforward. It has a choice of 3 guns and 2 turrets, and the guns are fairly easy to identify. If you see a double break on the muzzle, then that's the stock 105mm gun. If you see a single break, similar to the double break with the radiator fins in a similar fashion as I'm showing now, then that's the first 120mm gun. And if you see the kind of smooth outer barrel where it's just a straight cylindrical tube, no radiating fins, and just a circular hole at the end of the barrel, then that's the second 120mm gun. And the turrets are fairly easy to identify as well. The most distinguishable characteristic between the first stock turret and the upgraded turret is that big old machine gun on top of the center of the turret. So it's pretty easy to see. If you have the outline of the tank, you'll be able to tell whether that machine gun is there or not, and that will tell you whether this is the stock turret or the upgraded turret. Stock turret is missing the machine gun. Upgraded turret has the machine gun. So there's some other differences as well, and we'll get into those in a little more depth as the video goes on here, but that is the overall review of the guns and turrets and the first most identifiable feature about them that will help you identify them. Now, there's a couple ways to go about identifying what gun this tank will have on the battlefield, some other ways that you can go about it. If you can identify the turret, if you know which turret the tank has, you can automatically eliminate one gun from a contention. The stock turret cannot carry the fully upgraded 120mm gun, and the fully upgraded turret cannot carry the 105mm gun. So if you see the machine gun on top of this turret, you know it's got the upgraded turret, and you know it's carrying one of the 120mm guns. And to be honest, I'll put the stats up for each of the guns as I usually do. The difference between those two 120mm guns is very small. It's 1/10 of a round per minute, just a couple of points of penetration, and that's it. The alpha is the same, and most of the other stats are very, very similar as well. So knowing that it's 120mm, you've got a real good idea of what it is that you're dealing with here. In terms of penetration values, that's the main difference between these. You're looking at 258mm for the fully upgraded gun, and just 242, just that small difference in the non-fully upgraded 120mm. And the difference in rate of fire, you're looking at about 5 rounds. It's 5.2 versus 5.3 rounds per minute from those two guns as well. And so that translates into about a 9.5 to 10-second reload for the 120mm guns, depending on crew skills and equipment and all that. But you can bank on, if you can identify, again, there's the machine gun on top of the tank, then you know it's got a 120mm gun. You know it's firing at about 5.25 rounds a minute, which is about a 9.5 to 10-second reload. So if the tank that you're in has a better reload than that, you can fire with a faster reload. You can trade 2 for 1 with this tank. But if not, then you can't, and you want to make sure his 400 alpha damage isn't going to be trading poorly with yours, whatever tank you're in. In terms of the 105mm gun, the rate of fire, it's not much better. It's a slight increase to 6 and just a fraction, 6.1 rounds per minute. So there you're probably looking at about an 8-second reload, again, give or take, depending on equipment and crew skills. And the penetration drops pretty dramatically, 198mm of penetration. It's tough to use this tank when you're a Tier 9 tank, because you're going to be seeing Tier 9s and Tier 10s, and under 200mm of penetration is not often going to get the job done, and the alpha damage drops to 320. So if you can identify the 105mm, that double break on the end of the barrel, and again, the machine gun is missing from the turret, then you know this is pretty much going to be a stock tank, new driver, and the gun is going to be underpowered. So unless you're in a tier 7 light tank that's matched up, or a very poorly armored tank, you'll be able to engage this tank effectively, use your armor if you see that 105 millimeter gun. So at this point, I think that's enough talking for me. What I'm going to do is just roll a little bit of footage, some video, and some annotated figures, some photos that will kind of just highlight some of the more finer details that will separate the two turrets from one another from the various views: front, left, right, and rear. And again, if you're looking for the ultimate level of detail, then stay tuned for these next couple of minutes while the video plays, and I'll put some background music on just so the silence isn't deafening. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did, if you found it useful, I really would appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Leave a comment, let me know what you think of the series, of the tank, and now that I've finished up this line of tanks, I'm going to be looking to move on to the next one, so feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know what tanks you're looking forward to next. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.